Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Got some pretty exciting news for all of you. So my fiance and I are building a new home, which means a new layout. And I'm pretty happy to be doing this. I'm so excited. This is something that I've always wanted to do. Like all us model railroaders, we want to be able to build our dream layout. So the space I have to work with is 24 feet by 14 feet. I'm kind of just in the initial planning stages now. We should be able to move into the home around September, October, so that gives me lots of time to kind of get an idea. It'll have an unfinished basement, which means I can finish it however I want, which is perfect. So I can plan on my electrical, on my lighting, and you name it for this layout. So I'm really happy. It's going to be something fun to do. And I'm hoping to document everything to show you guys, like my journey on this process. So can't wait to get started. So right now I'm in the middle of just kind of going over my track plan, just kind of getting a rough idea of what I want to accomplish. So let's get started. So I modeled the Southern Ontario Railway. It runs from Nanticoke to Paris, Ontario. Currently as it sits, the Southern Ontario Railway goes from Nanticoke to Garnet and now interchanges with CN from Garnet to Paris. So kind of a unique opportunity for operation sessions from there. I'm trying to encompass all of it, like throughout the years from early 2000s up till now. So early 2000s, it was all strictly Southern Ontario Railway from Nanticoke to Paris. And modern day is now Southern Ontario, Nanticoke to Garnet, Garnet to Paris. So it's going to be quite neat to see. Obviously, throughout that has been some removal of trackage or addition of trackage. It all depends how you look at it. So I've been doing my research, my aerial views, everything what I want to do. Got some diagrams and stuff that I did not do these diagrams, by the way. These are done by a gentleman by the name of J. Alain Furland. I got these from somebody in the Canadian Railway Modelers group, and I greatly appreciate it. So this is kind of a general rough track plan from Nanticoke all the way to Brantford. So it kind of gives me an idea as well. They're missing some things on this, which, you know, I can add in. But it's not a big deal because I'm going to obviously modify it to suit the space that I have. Right? So anyway, we'll start with I guess a satellite view here of the main area that I'll be starting with. So this is Garnet Yard. This is where the Southern Ontario Railway meets with Canadian National Railway to interchange. So mostly everything is tanker. From this point on is tanker and steel cars. Back in the early 2000s, there actually used to be service for fly ash for the old hydro plant, which has now been demolished. So I might try and incorporate that as well. We'll see. But anyway, so we'll go from Garnet to Nanticoke first. So this is Garnet. And then if we move along, this is the Y just outside of Garnet. This is strictly just storage track. This used to go all the way to, I believe, St. Thomas. So this is the town of Jarvis where I currently live. This track's long gone. It's been gone for many years. I'm trying to remember where this actually used to go to, but it would run through Simcoe, etc. But anyway, the only actual remaining track of this Y is up to this road right here. So it really stops around here, and they just use it to store tank cars, scrap cars, steel cars, whatever. So anyway, so Garnet Yard, this is the main line here, and this is just the Y for storage trackage, things like that. Keep going down, all the way down through some nice field. And then we get to the Esso refinery. And from this is where it gets interesting. So there's a split track here. So this track here will take us to Stelco. This track takes us to the Esso refinery, which you can see is a massive complex. Obviously, I can't model all this. I won't have the space. So this is going to be quite condensed, but I'm going to have this on my layout. And you can see they service many different types of tank cars. Then we keep going. Then we end up at the hydro plant, which is now demolished. But you can see there's quite a few little industrial tracks going into the hydro plant. So I'm trying to determine if I want to have this on my layout or not. I would love to, but if I don't have the space, I don't have the space. But the main thing I need to have on my layout is the SO plant, because that's the main revenue service on this line. So from SO, we'll split off and go to Stelco, which is really, really interesting. So we end up going through one yard, another little storage yard known as Franklin Yard. And this is where like there's a little asphalt transfer facility in here. But now, this whole field that you see is gone. This is all in this spot right now. There's great big asphalt storage tanks, and supposedly there's more trackage going in here. So I need to go investigate, take a little drive out there and see what's going on, and see what else I can add in here, because I would love to have this on my layout as well. But again, it'll be quite condensed. Like all of us, right? We all have these dreams to have these, you know, big industries, but you can only do so much, right? So anyway, now we're on our way to Stelco. So first, there's our first little industry, another little industry on our way to Stelco. So see, you can hear there's a couple little sidings in here. These take pressurized hoppers. I believe it's some kind of air product. I got to do a little more research on that, but that's a nice, quick little, easy little small industry to add in. It'd be kind of neat to have. They service this quite, you know, I would say probably once a week. I think they kind of go in here and service this, so it's something quick and easy to have on there. Now we actually start getting into the Stelco complex. This is where we split off into another Y to turn around. This is where it gets interesting. So the Y crosses over into this mammoth yard, where there's all kinds of, you know, normally they store steel cars in here, but lately they've been using it for more tank car storage because the steel production out is down out this way. So obviously you can see this aerial view, right? This always changes. Sometimes this yard is packed full, sometimes it's not. But anyway, so from this yard, we get down into the steel plant where it splits off into many different tracks. Now this complex, Stelco, is absolutely massive. Like, this is huge. There's no way I'm going to add this entire thing in, right? So obviously I'm going to do something to represent it, because I want to be able to have all these features on my layout. So I have to compromise, obviously, by downsizing quite a few things, because I want to represent the SOR as much as possible. So there's many different service tracks going here in Stelco, right? I definitely won't be having all this. You know, I would obviously I'd love to, but I won't be. I'm going to try to incorporate the Y. I would love to. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of unique features down here, right? You know, some nice little steel cars hustling around here. Little, I guess you call it steel locomotives. They have their own specialized switchers. You know, maybe see if I can add some sort of that aspect to it. I got to figure out what I want to do, but it's just quite the daunting task down here. So have to see what I can incorporate. So anyway, I'll take you back up to Garnet. Let me go back along. And then from Garnet, I'll take you to the rest of the way. Alright, so now Garnet. So from Garnet, we now continue on. We cross Highway 6. We run parallel to Highway 6, past the old quarries, and we get into Hagersville. So now in Hagersville, there's a little passing siding here where a lot of center beam cars and box cars are stored for what was and continues to be the daily, which SOR used to, but now CN does the daily. So from Garnet on, CN services. So CN comes through Hagersville. This is the old queso track, which is long gone. And here's the old queso station, which is actually torn down, and now a new CN complex is put in here. But we pass through town of Hagersville, through the yard. I might try and incorporate this from what I remember growing up, because when I was a kid, all this was still here. It'd be kind of unique to have. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm definitely going to be modeling the town of Hagersville. And here we have the siding for the grain complex, like for the service elevator. And then here's just some yard maintenance tracks, just some ballasts and things like that. So I'll incorporate that. So anyway, the CN, 580 job, or what was also SOR. It serviced this little grain complex. They would come in here about once a week to switch out cars, but they come in Hagersville daily to service CGC and Nicholson and Cates, which I will show you as we move up the line. So we go down the line towards Caledonia, and on our way to Caledonia, keep going. Not quite a bit yet. Here, I'll zoom out, see if I can make this quicker. On our way to Caledonia, we get to what's called CGC, which is Canadian Gypsum Corporation. And here they take a lot of center partition cars and some different types of pressure flow hoppers, things like that. And so they have a storage siding here, the switches here. This is just some extra storage as well. And Hagersville is where they store a lot of these empties as well, or full cars depending on what they do that day. So you can see, again, quite a unique little switching operation out of here. So you got many different service tracks. So they take like pressure flow hoppers, center beam flat cars, things like that. You know, they'll come in here, switch it out, bring it to Hagersville, drop off the full loads or drop off extra empties, things like that. And then they'll move on to Caledonia. Nice little bridge scene here. Try to incorporate that. Once we get into Caledonia here, this is going to be a fun one to try to have. The Grand River Bridge. This would be beautiful if I can add this on here. I want to have this. This will be a beautiful... This is just something I remember as a kid, always going to see my grandma in Caledonia. I always remember crossing the road bridge parallel down here, looking across and seeing this beautiful bridge. I always saw plenty of trains going across this, so I want to have this. So and as we get into Caledonia, we hit another Y. So we'll zoom in here. So we'll go into this point where it splits off in a couple little sidings. So we come into the Purina feed mill. This is actually closed down now. The tracks are still there, but they're ripping them all out as far as I know. So I would assume this building will eventually go. But I'm going to incorporate this just because it'd be a fun little switching operation, because this was active when I was younger. So I think it'd be nice to have. And then we come around this portion of the Y to the old Caledonia train station. Across the highway here. This is the old CN Dundas sub. This is all gone now. They ripped this all out, but this used to come around into the old Domtar plant, and this whole plant is now demolished. So I don't know if I'm going to add this or not. It'd be pretty fun to add, because again, it's just like CGC. It's got all the old gypsum cars, things like that. So we'll see what happens. All this is long gone, torn out. So anyway, we'll go back to this way, and we go into Nicholson and Cates Lumber. So they take a couple center beams or bulkheads or box cars. So I like to have that, because that's still active to this day. So I want to incorporate that. And then we come back to the other point of the Y, where the SOR or CN, depending on who I'm running that day, would come around this point on. Then from this point on, we head into Brantford. So we go all the way down. Then we come up to, I believe, Onondaga, which is coming up here. And there's a little passing siding. Where are you here? As you can see, there's lots of trackage here. It's all going to be single main line, which is, that's kind of what I want. It's nice to maintain and manage. Maybe I went by it already. Anyway, there's a little passing siding along this route. Nothing too exciting, but again, more random tank cars are stored all the way up here, which I don't know why. Kind of odd, but interesting at the same time. They service it, they pull empties out, whatever, out of there and add them to the daily freight, that kind of thing. It's just in the middle of nowhere, which I find really weird, but right here it is. So this random siding here, there's nothing, it doesn't serve anything, no idea what it's for. They always seem to park tankers in here for SO or whatever. It's either empties or full ones, I'm not quite sure. Though I think randomly there'll be random steel cars sitting in there too, or center beams, depending what they have extra of. If they don't need them, they just kind of store them in here. But it'll be something easy to add in as well. And then from this point on, we'll head into Brantford. I might end up stopping here at Brantford if I can, because from this point on, from Brantford on, there's a lot of trackage, and I don't know if I have room for that. So here we go. Now we start getting into Brantford. So this is another little service area where they take more center beams. I think this is more lumber, things like that. So it's something small. This I can condense. It doesn't have to be obviously quite as in depth, but I can condense that and add that in. I might have to run a parallel or something instead of out in the open like that. Then again, we continue on. This is an interesting little facility. So this facility services and repairs tank cars. So of course my layout has a lot of tank cars because the Esso facility. So I think this would be something unique to add in as well, because then I can drop things off here for service, that kind of thing. Pretty interesting. And then we get up into downtown Brantford. As we keep going along here. And then you can see some old service, this is no longer active. We come up to Dundas, the CN main line. And then we connect up to the Brantford Via Station. And this yard I want to incorporate because this is quite active with CN and the SOR when they were active out this way. So this is still used to this day. Obviously, this is pretty large. I think I'm going to have to condense it. It won't be as many tracks, but I do want to have the Via Station. That would be quite cool to have. I'll have the dual main line. I'll have it split off, but I won't model from this point on. I won't model that because that goes all the way to Hamilton, downtown to the Stewart Street Yard. It's so massive, I won't have the room, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. And then so we get back to the Via Station here. There are some other industries here in Brantford that are operated. The SOR used to service them. Now they're all serviced by their own private companies, by their own private little trackmobiles, because CN won't service them. So I'm debating on servicing them or not. I'll have to see. But from that point on, to get to them, you have to go down the Dundas sub and then down into Brantford, things like that. So I don't know. That might get a little complicated. So I might not have those. And anyway, we continue down to the main CN line all the way to Paris. This is where it's double track from this point on. So I don't know if I'll have this or not. I would love to, but again, I got to see what I can fit, right? But this is where the SOR would run and drop their cars and then go back with a load of empties for, the next time. Now currently CN straight shots from Sarnia all the way to Nanticoke. So, I think Paris would be my main, the farthest I would go. If I could, I would go all the way to Paris on my line, but we'll see what I can do. And then obviously another bridge scene here, if I go this far to Paris. And then come around. And this is the main interchange up here from where the SOR would drop off right here. So from this point on, they would drop off, pick up a load of empties, and then head back. So if anything, this would be the furthest I would go, and that would be that. If I can fit this, I will definitely put it on here because it's definitely one point to the next point, and that's the full Southern Ontario Railway line. So see what I can do. I have a feeling it's going to end up being a double layer layout, maybe a triple. I don't want to get into that many layers though because it gets so complex, but we'll see what happens. But as you can see, there's a lot of opportunity for trackage and modeling, and it's not anything too complicated. It's not like a spaghetti web by any means. Nice single track main service from Brantford and Nanticoke, and then from Brantford to Paris you kind of get a little bit difference of double track service. Be pretty cool to have. because it's just nice to see all the CN trains and then the Southern Ontario Railway. It'd be really unique to have just two different lines working together, right? And currently to this day, it's still active that way. Obviously, just from Paris to Garnet is all strictly CN now. So, but it'll be neat because I can still run, you know, all my different locomotives from the years on. So it'd be really neat to have. The beauty is I only really need 3 or 4 different types of freight cars, right? So obviously my ethanol tankers, my center beam flat cars, steel cars, the odd box car, and really that's all I would need. And it makes it, you know, pretty easy to maintain that rolling stock, you know. I might get a, you know, a little Via Scepter just to run back and forth or something, but nothing, you know, out of the ordinary. But yeah, so this is kind of where I'm at now. I'm in the planning stages, just trying to figure out what I want to incorporate, what I want to leave out, what I want to condense. But it's quite interesting, you know. I take a drive out here and there to go look at things along the line and see what I can add in, see what I want to have. It's quite nice to do, and you know, it's a fun part of the process. So to plan my layout, I've actually downloaded AnyRail, the software. I bought the full suite because, you know, there's just so much I got to plan. You can get it for free, but you're only limited to 50 pieces of track at a time kind of thing. So you can design in sections if you wanted to, but I mean, it proves to be a little more difficult that way. So I ended up just downloading the full software. I think it was like $80 or something, but you know what? It's worth it because you can just go plan, plunk stuff in. So I'll show you quickly kind of what I've done with that to start with. Open up AnyRail here. This is kind of a rough idea of the room. I've kind of, you know, done Garnet Yard here. This is that little air facility. This is the widest Delco. This is all going to change. Like this is just, I was just farting around, just trying to figure out some things. Just kind of learn the software. But it's just kind of unique to see. So like you can, let me zoom in here. Oh, what's going on here? But so yeah, you can kind of see what I've been working with here. It's pretty neat. So yeah, you can go through, pick all your switches, all your different pieces of track. It's kind of neat. Different menus up here. You can insert. There's libraries. You can pick which scale, which type of track you want to use. Different objects like trees, pieces of scenery, all kinds of stuff. You can download stuff that people have created, I guess. I've only just started dabbling into this, so I'm not, you know, obviously I'm not too familiar with it yet, but it's pretty neat software. So, oh, get out of this. Everything went bright. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Yeah. So anyway, just another quick little diagram here. So this is a little more simpler way to look at it. So this is the Y right before Garnet. This comes off. This is the Stelco spur. This is the Esso and Hydro trackage. This is Garnet Yard. I'm probably going to condense this quite a bit because I don't think I'll have the space for it all. You come down into Hagersville, the passing siding. There's Hagersville Yard and the little grain elevator track. This is really handy. This. We come through. There's CGC. There's the Caledonia Bridge. Come into Caledonia. This would be to the bridge. And then here's the little Y section, Nicholson and Kate's. And here's the station, the little Y area. Then from this point on, we go to Brantford. There's a little passing siding at Onondaga. And here's some little services in Brantford. Which, I mean, really, if you look at it this way, they don't look technically that big, but, you know, we'll see what I have room for. I might just throw a switch off to represent the area. We'll see. And again, then here we go, the Hagersville sub right into Brantford Station, and then this goes off to Dundas sub down into Hamilton. And then that's where this ends. And then from here on, Paris, you know, see what I can add in. But anyway, that's where I'm at. I'd figure I'd share that with you all. Oh, zoom in. What's going on here? Anyway, figured I'd share that with you and kind of show you where I'm at. I'm really excited to start this process. So hopefully, you know, in a couple months I can actually go in there and kind of look at the area and kind of see what I have to work with. The beauty about it is, right, I'm starting from a completely blank slate, blank room. I can add in all the other features that I need as well. So I'm super excited, and I look forward to sharing my my build with all of you. And you know, I'm always, you know, looking for feedback, anything, tips and advice. You know, that's greatly appreciated. If anybody has any questions for me, just put them down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to answer them. Anyways, thank you guys. I've been watching a lot of other YouTubers on here and kind of getting inspiration, you know, from things just from weathering, track laying, layout planning, you name it. And it's really, really good community to see all this stuff and be a part of. And I'm hoping I can contribute back to that as well. So anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. I know this was pretty long for what I normally do, but it's quite a big process here, right? So I kind of wanted to document as much as possible. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Enjoy, and happy modeling.